Hi everyone, Steve from Omni Marketing, and in this video we're going to talk about prominence. We've talked about the three major ranking pillars that you need to get yourself ranked in the search engines, especially with Google here in the UK. The three pillars we keep saying is relevance, proximity and prominence. Now we covered relevance in another video, and in this particular video I want to jump straight to prominence because to me this is a very important one. You know, what do we mean by prominence? So let's just go down and have a look at some of the things they're mentioning in this particular article when they're talking about prominence. And the word here that I want you to pick out is brand. Now, what do I mean by brand, you know, when we're talking about local business? Well, if you think about the major players, the Amazons of this world, etc., what Google recognised the fact that your Amazon, Tesco, Marks and Spencer's, they're all big brands here in the UK, and whenever they put up a new web page with new content on, so let's say for argument's sake iPhone come out with whatever the latest one, let's say it's a few years down the line and iPhone come out with the iPhone 12, and what would happen is Amazon would put a page up because somebody on there would be selling the iPhone 12, and that particular page would immediately go to page one of Google. Now, it's not because the people in Amazon are specialists in SEO and they know exactly how to get their stuff to rank, and they know all ninja tricks and all the rest of it. It's simply because it's a major brand, and therefore Google recognizes the fact that when they put up a particular topic like the iPhone 12 and it's a major brand, that's what people will be searching for, so it puts it on page one of Google alongside, you know, Apple itself, because obviously they're the owners of the brand. So when it comes to local search, Google's got the same problem. Google's algorithm, when it's looking for everything, it's trying to find out who's the local brand. So we go back to that search we did before, plumber Swansea. Right, which are the plumbers, the plumbing companies that are the major brands within Swansea? And therefore Google has to use its algorithm to find this all out. And remember, we said before, we were talking about, you know, how do you get Google to recognize everything you own? And we talked about schema when we were talking about relevance, and we were saying schema, the code that you put onto your website, you can actually show Google where your Yelp listing is, where your Facebook, your Twitter, all the different things you own online, all the things that represent your brand. You can use your schema code to show Google where these are. And it's important because Google needs to understand, are you a one-man band? Are you a major player? You know, a major company? Now, there's nothing wrong with the one-man band. You know, people are looking for that as well, you know, because when we're looking for services such as a plumber, we might be looking for someone that's willing to do it quick, cost effectively, and you're not too worried about guarantees and warranties because you just want a quick small job done. Then again, you might be wanting a whole central heating system put in, and you'd rather go with a bigger brand because you want warranties and guarantees and all the rest of it. So there's always different people for different markets. So Google's looking for the brands that represent the local businesses in the community. So how does it do that? Well, first of all, it needs to trust you. So again, we go back to making sure you've got all the right things in place. Your website, your Google My Business listing. You're adding content to those two platforms all the time. You've got your Facebook out there, you know, your Facebook business page out there. You're listed on Yelp and all that. You know, let me give an example. Why is it important being listed on Yelp? Well, Google knows when you're listed on Yelp, it knows from experience that somebody from Yelp is going to phone you. Even when you put the free listing up on Yelp, somebody from Yelp will contact you saying that they want to confirm all the details, but realistically Yelp are there to try and upsell you to their products and services. So Google knows you're going to get that phone call, and it's yet another confirmation that you're real, that the phone number is real, that the business is real. So it's doing all these things to make sure you have a performance, you know, an assets online that Google can see. So what else does Google use to measure? Well, I've mentioned it before. We put it down for relevance, but it's also reviews. Think about your own buying habits. You know, I mentioned Amazon before. If you're buying a product and it's a product that you're unaware of, or and you go onto Amazon, what do you start doing? People start looking at how many reviews each item has got, and then they might look at a couple of reviews just to compare. I did it myself a couple of years back when I was buying a spin bike. And when we were buying the spin bike, I'd never bought a spin bike in my life. I ended up going to a company up in Scotland. They showed up on page 1 when I did my Google search. I went on there. There was 3 bikes on there, all similarly priced in the 400 to 500 price range. What did I do? I read the reviews to see what the previous owners had said about each individual bike, and then I made my decision based on those reviews. Now, people do that with local businesses. If they don't know you, if it's not a member of the family or their friends recommending you, then people are going to go online to try and find something more about you before they make that buying decision, before they decide to use you, whether you're providing a service or goods. So if you're going to have reviews, you need a review strategy. Now, I'm not going to talk about it here, but we run software for our clients so that we control the reviews, how we get them in, etc. But basically, you need to develop a review strategy so that every time, again, let's stick with the plumbing theme. If you're a plumber, every time you do a job and Mrs. Jones says she likes what you've done, first thing you should be doing is asking her for a review. While she's happy, while she's delighted, and while you're there, that is the time to get a review. And you should build that in as part of your everyday strategy when you're talking to your customers, your clients, your patients, whoever they be. Also, if you haven't got, if you're not running software like ours, which controls the reviews and how they're published, let's just say somebody has gone onto your Yelp listing and published something, you need to respond to them, good or bad. So somebody's gone onto Yelp, say, or your Facebook page and has left a 2-star review. You need to go on there and find out what the problem is and respond to it. Because then when people actually see that review and they read it, they can see what you've done as a business, that you care about that customer, that client, that patient, and you've done something about it. If it's a good review, you still comment on it, thank them, because you're always out there trying to do the best job you can, and you want to thank them for giving you positive feedback. So reviews are absolutely critical. They're what helps people make the buying decision, to make the phone call, to actually make that contact with you. Now, citations. Remember we talked about NAP, the name, address and phone number. Well, citations is where you get all these listings. So it is your directories like Yelp. It can be specialist directories like, accountants and solicitors will have their own specialist directories that you can go on. Builders have it when they can go on to build, into different directories. So when you're listed on there, they're called citations. And again, what they are is just further evidence to Google that you're a genuine business, that you're a brand, that you're taking the time and trouble to go out and get yourself listed on all these places, because you're a genuine business that's out there looking for new clients, new business, etc. So citations are very, very important, and there's hundreds of directories in the UK that you can get your business listed on. Some of them you might get the odd, and this is what you can remember as well, that some of them you might get the odd person going onto one of these directories, find you there and get across to your website that way. They're certainly not a main driver, but it is another way of getting people to your website. So citations, very important. And then we go back to what we said before about inbound links. So inbound links are building your brand. So when people are when there's content going out onto other platforms out there and they're linking back to your site, these are inbound links, and this is where again you're showing Google that you're a proper brand. Now, your inbound links, they can be as simple things as you listing on your Facebook page, putting a little post up on there and linking back to your website. It can be doing your Google My Business posts and linking those back to your website. These are all links coming in. I mentioned in previous videos, one way we really like to boost it and give it a real shot in the arm is we use online press releases, and with the online press releases we get them onto page 1 of Google, and the fact that Google recognises them, can see it's a local business. And if you're doing that on a regular basis, I'm not just talking about doing the odd press release once in a blue moon. We're doing it regular, every week. In fact, if I remember, I think I showed you an example in one of the other videos when we were doing the flooring. That's right, when we're doing Flooring Company Swansea. You can see here DG Heath. This one was 11th of December, 26th of December. We've been putting these out regularly so that you're constantly saying to Google, look at this company, look at this company, look at this brand. Because as I said, this is on Google's own platform, on Google News. You can't get a higher link back to your site than putting your stuff on here. The other beautiful thing about doing things like this, I'll talk about it again in a different video, but when you're doing things like press releases, you can get lots of links coming back to your website from these different press sites. And again, it's volume, and it's what it's doing, it's just showing Google that you're a serious business, that you're active in the market, and you're out there, you're looking to generate new business, and Google takes all this into account. So if you think about it realistically, what you're trying to do with your brand, you're trying to get it out there, trying to get it known. So you want to be talking about going onto Google My Business, putting up regular posts on there every day. You want to be adding content onto your website. So we say this to all our business clients. You need to add content to your website every week, and there is no reason not to. So for instance, if you were this plumber, you could be taking photos before and after the work that they've done, so they can show they've installed a new boiler, did a repair job, etc., and just put it onto the website as a couple of jobs that you've done this week to show people the type of work that you do. Now, two things are happening here. When you're adding all this stuff to your website, you're adding keywords when you're writing the stuff naturally. So let's just say I've gone to a job this week and we've changed a radiator because the old one had seized up and it was leaking, cracked or something, the seals had gone and we couldn't repair the seals. And we've gone in and changed the radiator. You can do photographs of before, you can go do photographs of after, and then all you've literally got to say in your text, in your comments, in your the content on the web page, you add it to your website as a blog, as an article, and you just say, recent job done in Swansea, changed the old radiator which was fitted with 1/2-inch fittings, change it to the new metric 20mm fittings, use the new twin radiators so it would be smaller and more compact and more efficient, fitted a thermostat valve on there so that they had individual control on that particular room where that radiator was installed. You can put stuff like that on there, and what happens is Google sees all that content. It's all about your subject matter. It picks up on the things that you're talking about, thermostats and twin radiators and modern radiators and all those sort of words, and all of that adds to the value of your brand, and you'll find yourself getting ranked. Remember, we talked about long tail keywords. So when people are searching for specific types of companies, your company starts showing up, and if you've had the reviews, etc., that we've already mentioned, so it looks good when your results come up, you get the click, you get the phone call, you get the contact with you. So it's important that you're adding content on a regular basis so that you're building your brand. I'll even go as far to say, in the old days we all used to laugh, we had the big thick yellow pages, and then it shrunk down so it now doesn't even exist for most people. Your website should be the opposite. You want your website to be not a small thin website. You want to build it out so it's that big thick yellow pages that used to be out there with lots of words on, lots of pictures, lots of examples of what you're doing. So it doesn't matter what business, what trade, what service, selling goods, there's no reason not to put pictures, videos, etc. onto your website and build all this out so Google really understands what your brand is about. Think about it. If you put every single job you ever did on there as a plumber, Google would have a clear picture. Remembering, it keeps emphasizing, Google is merely a piece of software that's crawling your website, but when it's crawled all this stuff, it fully understands what your website is about, what your business is about, and therefore it knows what to show you for in the different rankings. So please make sure you're adding content. Make sure you've got a review policy put together where you're actually out there driving reviews, getting people to comment on what they see. And remember, reviews work both ways, good and bad. Even when you get the bad ones, you can work out what it is you're doing wrong, why people don't want to deal with you again, and what you can do to put it right. Citations, we've mentioned, other directories, your press releases online, your Facebook pages, your Google My Business, all linking back to your site with to get the links back there, and again show Google what everything is about. So if you put all that together, you start building your local brand. And if you're doing this and your competitors aren't, look how quickly you can build your brand out there. So make 2019 the year that you actively go out and look to get your brand known. Whether you're a one-man band or whether you've got 20 vans on the road, it doesn't matter what you are, get your brand out there.